Your dog follows you to the kitchen, the bathroom, from the bedroom to the couch and back without ever being asked. Most people smile and call it sweet, but scientists who've spent decades studying this behavior have uncovered something far more extraordinary. What's happening behind those eyes has absolutely nothing to do with clinginess. There are 7 real reasons, and the one at number 1 could save your dog's life. Number 7. Genetic coding. Starting roughly 23,000 years ago in Siberia, wolves that were friendlier toward humans didn't just survive, they thrived. They got more food, more safety, and more opportunity to breed. Over thousands of generations, that trait compounded until something remarkable happened at the genetic level. In 2017, researchers at Princeton University and Oregon State University discovered that dogs carry structural variants in a chromosomal region linked to Williams-Buren syndrome in humans, a condition that causes extraordinary sociability, where affected people approach strangers warmly and form intense, compulsive emotional bonds. In dogs, insertions in 2 specific genes called GTF2I and GTF2IRD1 appear to drive this same extreme human-directed sociability, meaning your dog doesn't just choose to follow you, they are genetically coded for it. It isn't a personality quirk, and it isn't the result of how you raised them. Dr. Brian Hare of Duke University's Canine Cognition Center described it this way in an interview. What made dogs cognitively capable around humans wasn't raw intelligence. It was that they were selected for friendliness first, and all the cooperative problem-solving followed from that. Their ancestors who didn't want to follow humans were gradually weeded out. The ones who did left more descendants. And here, thousands of years later, is the result sitting at your feet while you watch television. But genetics only explains the instinct. It doesn't explain the chemistry that makes being near you feel like a biological reward. Number 6. Silent scanning. We are going to tell you something most people never stop to consider. While you're looking at your phone or watching TV, your dog is studying your face with a precision that rivals trained human observers. Research at the University of Lincoln confirmed that dogs display a left-gaze bias when looking at human faces, meaning they preferentially scan the right side of your face, the side most strongly associated with emotional expression, processed by the brain's right hemisphere. They've developed a face-reading system tuned specifically and almost exclusively to us. The 2015 study from the University of Veterinary Medicine, Vienna, published in Current Biology, went further, demonstrating that dogs can distinguish happy faces from angry ones even when shown only half the face, and that they found angry faces genuinely aversive even on complete strangers they had never met before. A 2016 fMRI study showed dogs process word meaning in the left hemisphere and vocal tone in the right, exactly mirroring human neurological organization. And their reward circuits only fire fully when both the words and the tone are positive at the same time. So when your dog follows you, part of what they're doing is staying close enough to keep running that read on you, because you are the primary data source for everything they need to know about what's about to happen. Number 5. Chemical chain reaction in the dog's brain. This one sounds dramatic until you see the data, and then it sounds even more dramatic. In 2015, researcher Miho Nagasawa and her team at Azabu University in Japan showed that when a dog and their owner make prolonged eye contact, both experience a measurable surge in oxytocin, the bonding hormone released between a mother and her newborn child during breastfeeding. They measured it in urine samples from both species, before and after interaction sessions, and the correlation was unambiguous. When the team then gave dogs a dose of oxytocin through a nasal spray, those dogs immediately began seeking more eye contact with their owners, which in turn increased the owner's oxytocin levels, even though the owner had received nothing at all. Brian Hare and Evan McLean of Duke University described this in their journal issue as dogs having effectively hijacked the human bonding pathway, co-opting a neurochemical mechanism that was never meant for them. What makes this directly relevant to the following is the withdrawal component. When that oxytocin loop is interrupted by physical distance, cortisol, the stress hormone, rises measurably. Separation from you produces something chemically similar to withdrawal. And crucially, the researchers tested wolves raised by humans under identical conditions, and the effect did not occur in them at all. this loop is a domestic dog-specific adaptation, built by thousands of years of coevolution specifically to keep them close. Then comes number 4. Dog's biological universe. Take a moment to think about what your dog's life actually contains. There is no job, no independent friendships maintained outside your home, no personal goals, no errands, no appointments of their own. Their social world is almost entirely composed of you and whoever else lives under your roof. That's not a lifestyle limitation. It's the structure of their cognition. Dogs evolved over millennia not just to tolerate humans, but to need us as the central anchor point of their entire emotional and behavioral orientation. Dr. Clive Wynne of Arizona State University spent years making the case in academic literature that what dogs have isn't merely attachment. It's something closer to love, or what he clinically called hypersociability, an almost pathological capacity to form deep affectionate bonds across species lines. In his 2019 book, Dog is Love, Wynne wrote that if this same trait appeared in a human being, the degree of indiscriminate, unconditional, intense social bonding that dogs routinely demonstrate, we would classify it as a psychological condition. But in dogs, it is the defining feature of the species, and it has physiological consequences. Another study shows measurably elevated cortisol when separated from their primary attachment figure by a single room. Not hours, not overnight, one room. That stress response is the engine behind the following behavior. Being near you isn't comforting in the way a warm blanket is comforting. Being away from you, even briefly, is a genuine physiological disturbance to their nervous system. Now we have reached the point where things get genuinely unsettling in the best possible way. Number 3. Smelling your stress. In 2022, a research team at Queen's University Belfast published a study testing whether dogs could discriminate between human baseline odor and stress-conditioned odor samples taken from complete strangers. 4 dogs, including a Cocker Spaniel named Treo and a Cockapoo named Fingal, were presented with breath and sweat samples collected just 4 minutes apart from 36 different participants, once at rest and once immediately after a mental arithmetic stress task verified by elevated heart rate, blood pressure, and self-report scores. Across 720 separate discrimination trials, the dogs correctly identified the stress samples with 93.75% combined accuracy. From a stranger, from samples taken just 4 minutes apart, using only scent. What they were detecting is the volatile organic compound signature produced by the acute sympathetic stress response, the molecular trace of your adrenaline surge. But the even more striking finding came from Linköping University in Sweden in 2019, where researchers measured hair cortisol concentrations, a marker of long-term stress, in 58 dog owner pairs across 2 seasons. The dog and owner cortisol scores were significantly correlated in both summer and winter. Owner personality traits, particularly neuroticism, directly predicted the dog's cortisol levels across months. The dog's own personality barely registered as a factor. Your dog is not just aware of how you feel in a given moment. They are chemically synchronized to your emotional baseline over time, carrying your stress patterns inside their own body, and then following you because wherever you are is where that signal lives. Number 2. Source of psychological safety. Developmental psychology has a concept called the secure base effect, first formalized to describe how human infants use their primary caregiver as an anchor from which to safely explore the world. The child ventures out, checks back in, and returns. The caregiver's presence creates a felt sense of security that makes exploration possible in the first place. In 2013, researchers Lisa Horn, Ludwig Huber, and Friederike Range showed that this exact mechanism operates in dogs. When their owner was present, even silently, doing nothing, dogs engaged significantly more persistently with a challenging food hiding puzzle. When the owner left and was replaced by a stranger, performance dropped. When the owner was absent entirely, it dropped further still. The effect was owner-specific. A familiar stranger couldn't substitute. A 2019 study adapting the Ainsworth-Strange situation test for dogs found that 61% of dogs were classified as securely attached and 39% as insecure, nearly identical to the ratios found in human toddler populations. Dr. Joseph Topol's original 1998 strange situation work at Eötvös-Loránd University described dog owner attachment as directly analogous to child-parent attachment behavior. What this means practically is that the shadow at your heels is not a dog looking for entertainment or treats. It is a living, emotionally complex being, maintaining the only stable psychological anchor they have. And finally, the strangest reason of all. Number 1, when your dog stops following you. Everything above has been about why dogs follow. This final reason is about what it means when a dog that has always been your shadow suddenly stops, and why it is the most important thing on this entire list. Dogs are hardwired by millions of years of predator survival instinct to suppress and conceal weakness. In the wild, showing pain or illness invited attack, so the domestic dog inherited the same suppression system. They will not limp dramatically. They will not whimper. They will not ask for help in any language you can easily recognize. But they will stop following, because following requires both physical energy and emotional motivation. And when a dog's body or mind begins to fail, that motivation disappears quietly before any other symptom becomes visible. Veterinary behaviorists identify this withdrawal as one of the earliest and most consistently missed indicators of illness. A 2020 study from the University of Glasgow found that 27% of dogs considered healthy by their owners triggered medical concern flags when formally assessed, meaning most owners are already missing early signals. The Dog Aging Project, drawing on data from over 15,000 dogs, found that inactive dogs had 6.47 times higher odds of canine cognitive dysfunction, and reduced activity is frequently one of the first behavioral signs of that decline. Smart collar data from PetPace has detected health changes up to 15 hours before any outward symptoms appeared. The owners who catch illness early are almost always the ones paying close enough attention to notice when the following stopped. So, if your dog has been your shadow for years, and then one day simply isn't, don't wait it out. Tell me in the comments, which one of these 7 surprised you the most?